Hello, hi, positive vibes, good day. Today we are going to be looking at offensive stereotypes of Arabic people. We're going to look at history, studies, and of course my art. Before we get into the video, I wanted to say thank you for over 100 subscribers. I am so grateful to each and every single person. It's my first ever proper milestone and I'm just so happy and grateful. So yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. If you aren't already subscribed, then please subscribe. I'm trying to post content more regularly and I would really appreciate the support. Do not be a stranger, be a friend. Leave a like and a comment. I'm always interested to hear people's opinions on such deep topics. But what are these offensive stereotypes that we're going to be talking about? I'm going to assume that most of you guys are from my TikTok, so at the beginning of my videos, as usual, I show a few examples of the offensive art that I'm going to be redrawing. Something important for you guys to note is that these stereotypes obviously aren't only present in art, but me as a person who likes to draw, I'm sort of expressing this through my art. But of course there are so many other ways that these stereotypes can be found in the media, in movies, etc. But the racist Arabic art and caricatures basically exaggerate negative and derogatory stereotypes about Arabic people. And there are many different stereotypes which you guys have probably heard of, so I'm just going to list a couple of examples. So there is the haggler who sells in the market and is very mischievous. There is the very rich Arabic exclusive billionaire. There's the sultry and over-sexualized belly dancers, and the Bedouin, I don't know how to pronounce that, who sleeps in tents in the desert and always has a camel. And finally, the terrorist, which has recently become a lot more popular, especially in Western culture. Another interesting way to look at these caricatures is to consider the fact that Arabic people are not all one people. Arabic people is pretty much a loose term to describe people from the Middle East who speak Arabic, but they all have their own countries, nationalities, customs, traditions, and I think it's something that this type of art refuses to acknowledge, so in a way it's harmful by omitting the cultural differences. Something for you guys to note for this whole entire video. When I'm talking about the anti-Arabic sentiment, can I add that I'm only really going to be talking about Western views, and I know that this exists worldwide. Different countries have their own reasons for their anti-Arabic sentiment, but I noticed that most of my audience are from the UK and from America and Australia, a lot of Western countries, so I'm going to be mostly focusing on the Western stereotypes. I want the content that I make to be relatable to my audience so that they can take the information that I found and they can reflect on it themselves. So, as I had previously mentioned, there are a lot of ignorant and racist stereotypes, but within the last few decades, one of the most popular stereotypes of Arabic people in Western culture would be that one of the terrorist. I believe one of the biggest catalysts for this stereotype was 9/11, which affected so many communities, including Arabic people. A 2004 report by the Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission said that more than 2/3 of Arab Australians say that they've experienced racism/racial vilification since 9/11. 90% of females experienced racial abuse or violence. Today we have a lot of focus on racism against Black people and the Black Lives Matter movement with the current climate, and I believe we should have just as much energy for other groups of people actively being discriminated against, including the Arabic community in Western cultures. Okay, so I'm curious, guys. If anyone watching this is Arabic, if you're old enough, I guess, what was your experience of life before and after 9/11? Was there a drastic difference? Did you personally face more discrimination, or was there no difference for you at all? I'm genuinely curious to hear you guys' personal experience when it comes to this. I guess even if you aren't Arabic and you know Arabic people, or you know how people have been talking to you about Arabic people, I'm just really curious to hear about people's experiences before and after 9/11. Personally, I remember when I was younger, there was this one very popular comedy show with this one puppet called Ahmed the Dead Terrorist, and surprise, surprise, his one very iconic line was, "Silence, I kill you." And I remember as a child finding it funny, although of course I didn't understand the full context of the joke. I didn't laugh because the character was a fake Muslim, but because the timing of the line was just so stupid. And this is something that is so dangerous about normalizing racism and racial stereotypes. Because when it comes to things like this, a lot of people will argue, well, that's it, it's just a joke. Don't be sensitive. And if you ignore the fact that it is explicitly offensive to certain people, what you're failing to consider are the subconscious effects that these jokes are having on your mind. Okay, and hear me out, just hear me out. If you're gonna take just one thing from my whole entire video, just take this one sentence, okay? Please, just listen, okay? Racist stereotypes indirectly alter our views and opinions about certain groups of people in a negative way, regardless of whether it is explicitly offensive to somebody or not. And when I say that it's not explicitly offensive, an example of that would be you and a friend, neither of you are Arabic, and your friend tells you a joke that includes a racist stereotype about Arabic people. Yes, there is nobody there to be explicitly offended, but your mind and the way you think and the way that you view Arabic people will change, and I have a study that supports that. I will also have a link for the study down below. But basically, there were two groups. Both groups had to play a game, and one group were given a game in which Arabic people were portrayed in a stereotypical way, and the others, Arabic people, were not portrayed in a stereotypical way. And very unsurprisingly, the group that played the game with Arabics that were stereotyped as terrorists were more likely to portray Arabics in a stereotypically negative way than the other group. Which obviously then suggests that racist stereotypes alter and affect our opinions about certain groups of people. The most fascinating thing about this study for me is that regardless of the way that Arabs were portrayed, after playing the game, both groups showed more anti-Arabic sentiment. And this is just fascinating to me, that regardless of the way that Arabs were portrayed, both groups, just seeing them, the effect of that was them having a more negative attitude towards them. And of course, they need to do more research to find out why that was. I think my personal theory on that would be that racism is just so ingrained into our culture that it's just natural for people to have these negative views because we're constantly being fed this by the media, etc. What do you guys think? Coming towards the end of my video, I wanted to talk about my art. Of course, this thing that I've been drawing in the background, which is basically my statement piece. So with my art, I redrew all of the typical features that you find in the offensive, racist, anti-Arabic art, where they draw a very traditional but very stereotyped Arabic man in traditional clothing. But of course, I wanted it to be a statement piece with a positive message. As you'll be able to see at the end of my video in the background, I have it written, I am more than just a stereotype. I like having those literal words there because it makes the point of my art very clear to anyone who hasn't watched the video. And I think it would be a really cool and ironic way to link all of my redrawing racist art pieces together. So I think that would be a really cool idea. Anyways, I wanted to thank you beautiful, wonderful, amazing, positive people for watching my video. I hope we all learnt something today, and I hope we all have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching my video. Bye!